Hey, welcome to Five Guys, Movies, and Fries. We have a couple members missing this week or this run, but I am Nakula, and with us we have Joe.
Hey there.
And Will.
Hello.
And this was my time to select a recommendation, and I went with the 1976 satire Network. I initially picked this movie mostly based off of mostly from knowing the speech given by actor Peter Finch as the character Howard Beale, a news anchor for the Union Broadcasting System, a fictional television network. I'd heard his speech, one of the speeches he does in this movie, sampled in a number of songs, Ministry, Mitch Murder, Perturbator. I'd heard a speech a number of times before I ever saw this movie, and I couldn't be happier with having seen this movie now. I do wish I had seen it earlier, but this movie lived up to every amount of hype that anybody mentioned to it. So I'll have. Was that?
I was just saying, absolutely, man.
Yeah. I know I'll have plenty of time to gush about what I loved about the movie. So, Will, let's start with you.
All right. Yeah, much like Knack, I'd heard I watched the monologue a couple times on YouTube before. It's classic. This movie is pretty well known. I'd say it's definitely considered, up there with some of the greats. And I know it's been entered into like the American like Library of Congress, I'm pretty sure, and it's on a lot of like top 100 lists and shit like that. Rightfully so. This movie is great. I mean, the monologues that guy does are just top tier, and I think that kind of goes throughout the whole movie too. Like the acting is in general pretty excellent. The screenplay is almost perfect. Like the writing itself is just fucking amazing. I mean, I wrote down a few different quotes as they were going through. Didn't have a lot of notes for the last half of the movie because by that point I was tired, but also like really drawn in, and I was just kind of like just in the movie at that point. So, and another thing I wanted to mention too was I didn't realize this was a satire. So I'm like halfway into the movie, like, is this a satire? Like,
so I'll mention that the movie originally wasn't conceptualized as a satire.
oh,
The creator,
Peter
Chayefsky.
Patty
Chayefsky. He originally just wanted like a straight allegorical film, but with the way the film ended up becoming developed, it ended up becoming a satire just to kind of connect the dots between characters and things like that. So anyway, throwing that in there.
Yeah. I like that panned out that way. I mean, this movie, I don't even think you could say this movie isn't a satire. Like, it seems almost realistic, and it never seems too crazy. Obviously, it's making fun of like the TV broadcasting and all that stuff, but fuck, dude, it seems pretty close to me from what I know about it.
Yeah, Chayefsky mentions that just about everything they portray in this movie had happened in the news or on TV, aside from a televised assassination.
Right.
What about a bank robbery televised?
I assume that probably had happened by now.
I mean, if that's true, then it would. Yeah. Well, that's pretty crazy.
By 76 or whatever, yeah, they probably had televised that in some form or another.
Well, in the movie, the Ecumenical Liberation Front, not
Army.
It's not L. Army.
Yeah.
ELA, yeah.
Yeah. Elf. If it was Elf, instantly makes the movie unbelievable.
The Ella group, they recorded their own bank robbery. I wonder if that actually happened. I mean, I don't have the answer, but
yeah, we should look a little bit more into that at some point because that's interesting. Yeah, just to go through some of my notes, I love how the movie starts with a monologue, just kind of like explaining, like getting the setting set up and everything. More movies should do that and do it like how this movie did it. I don't know why movies have moved away from that mostly, but fuck, dude, it works.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it really sets the tone for the movie. It lends credence to it too, I feel like it made it seem more realistic for some reason. And the
Makes
guy
it seem like a news show, kind of.
almost, yeah. And the guy's voice, like who was doing those voiceovers. Who was that? Is that one of the actors in the movie, or is that just somebody else?
I do not know.
Lee Richardson was his name. I don't recognize the name.
Okay. Yeah, he has a nice gravelly like 70s style voice that just really works really well for that.
He's an American character actor who frequently appeared in the films of Sidney Lumet.
It's Lumet.
Lumet? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Richardson appears in Brubaker, The Fly 2, Q&A, Exorcist 3, A Stranger Among Us, and such TV shows as Law and Order. Okay.
Oh, wow.
It says in the production notes on the wiki that Network came only 2 years after the first on-screen suicide in television history.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's even mentioned in the script. Howard Beale mentions he's gonna do it just like that woman in Florida.
Oh shit. I didn't notice that. That's awesome. I mean, suicide is not awesome, guys. Please call if you have.
Will blow my brains out right on the air like that girl in Florida.
Yeah, this movie, man, it's I don't know. It's interesting to me that it is a satire because like all that just seems realistic to me, but some of like I love like right after they get drunk and they're sitting at the bar and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna kill myself or whatever, and then his buddy's like, you'll get a hell of a rating, I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah. Almost everything has to do with the ratings. Just almost so many decisions from the executives to Diana. It's just we're all focused on just upping them ratings and the shares.
Yeah. That's how it was and still is probably, but in a different weird metric that they use now, I'm sure, but like number of streams or something. But fucking A, man, that's what it was all about back then. Let me see here. The camera work when it like first pans in and gives us the title screen and they're like in that editing meeting is fucking awesome. Just the way that the camera kind of pans throughout that room as they're working on editing their next not episode, but broadcast, their next broadcast. I love that camera work, and then the large perfectly sized title, network just shows up, and that plain font, it works really well.
Yeah, some of the cuts were real nice in this film.
Yeah. I liked the I really liked the scene where like he goes back, he's like back out there or whatever, and then like I don't know, he says like something like he's gonna do something or whatever, and then all the men just like run out there and try to take him out of the seat, and there's just a scene where he's just like they're like holding him, like trying to get him out of there. It was really comical. Let's see, what else did I write? The one guy, I think it's like Howard Beale's boss, I think maybe, and he's saying that it's bullshit, and it is.
Max? Do you mean?
I think it was Max actually. Yeah, that was good. There was a lot of really good quotes in this movie. Had a lot of that I don't know, that 70s feel is the best way I can describe it, but just like that kind of like, I don't know, like seriousness that you don't really get from actors anymore, in my opinion. Like yeah, actors can be really serious now, but there was just something about actors back then that, like, I don't know. They had more credence to their words, I guess, is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, it was serious and it's funny. I think this movie, I don't know if you guys will agree with this, but it's sort of like the Don't Look Up of its time. Even though that movie it leans way more into comedy, but it does both a little bit. It has a political message, and yet it also works as a comedy.
Yeah, very serious, but also really funny, and just like very realistic too. Still, I think that helps a lot because that adds a lot of credence to it.
Also,
Yeah,
just using the medium of media to influence the public.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. What else did I write? I really liked how crazy what is that Faye Dunaway's character is about just like getting the ELA on the news or like getting their own channel or not channel,
their own program. Yeah.
Yeah, like she was like real about that. And I liked how like strong of a woman she was in the movie. Like she really was just kind of came in and was like, "This is what we're gonna fucking do, boys." And they were like, "Yes, ma'am," for the most part. I feel like a lot of movies back then probably didn't have very strong women in roles like that. So it was cool to see that. She seemed more realistic because of that, I feel.
And with that, just also mentioning that the way Max just kind of like calmly tears into her towards the end, saying "You're television incarnate." Like she's indifferent to suffering and sensitive to joy. She's like right off the bat ready to exploit Howard Beale's outburst just for making her getting her fame, just like making her way up the ladder.
Yeah, you don't really care about this man. And at some point he says that like you guys, yeah, I think it was that scene maybe where he's just talking about how like they're just exploiting him and using his fucking breakdown to get ratings, and that's really fucked up. I liked a lot of the philosophical implications that this movie brought forward. I thought it was really interesting that they were very focused on that in the screenplay. I didn't have a lot of notes after that. Like I said, I just kind of got caught up in the movie at that point and was tired, so I was just like zoning into it, and I really liked it. Like I watched the whole thing, but I didn't take a lot of notes. I felt like the way that it ends is great. Basically, just having like a fucking assassination on live TV, like that would have been insane to see back then. Or ever, really, like if we saw something like that now.
No, it's boring. It's old hat nowadays. You see that.
Yeah, who gives a shit? We've seen planes fly into fucking towers, so there you go. Which this is on that level almost. I feel like it. There's just a gravitas to that this is like serious. This is like one of the most serious things you could see on TV at the time. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I got on it. I did really enjoy this movie, though. I thought it was excellent choice, Snack, and I'm glad that we watched it because I've wanted to see this movie for a long time since I saw the monologue. But I was like, yeah, I'll get around to it, and we all know that's never gonna fucking happen because we're all adults that don't have any fucking free time. So.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. I'm super glad the way this turned out.
I'm glad as hell you picked this.
I bet this is right up your alley, Joe.
Had you never seen this before either, Joe?
No, I've seen it before once.
You have? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this definitely seems like a Joe movie to me. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in like a really good way.
Well,
Joe has picked out some bangers, yeah.
Yeah.
I've liked every one of the movies you've picked, I'm pretty sure, so.
I think you have, yeah.
Granted, I think I've liked every single movie we've watched.
That's true, yeah.
I think at the I'll say The Irishman was the least well received.
Oh yeah, that's very true. I didn't even like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even watch it. That's how much I didn't like. I mean, I watched like 20 minutes. Well, no, I think I watched like an hour, and then and then fell asleep and then
Yeah.
forgot I was supposed to watch it for the episode.
Yeah, someone told me it was good, but
It's like
it's a tough one. We don't need to rehash it.
No. But we're gonna.
Yeah.
Right now.
The Irishman Part 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm a way bigger fan of all of Sidney Lumet's other movies I've seen, and he's directed some great movies. I mean, 12 Angry Men, Serpico,
Wait,
Dog
12
Day
Angry Men's
Afternoon.
this guy?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that movie's awesome. Yeah, this guy's great.
Yeah.
Holy shit. He made both these movies. This dude, fuck, if those were the only 2 movies he made, he's fucking amazing, but
No, not the only 2.
Serpico too?
Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon.
I
And,
haven't seen Dog Day Afternoon, but I've heard it's really good.
It is super good. It's based. Well, we're not here to talk about that. The Murder on the Orient Express is my favorite, but that's just because I love murder mysteries.
Oh,
But
that's
it
him
also is a
too?
really good movie. The one from the 70s, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that movie's great too, from what I've heard, so
Yes.
that's awesome.
But yeah, so I kind of have mixed feelings about Network seeing it again. I feel like it's a pretty damn good critique of media, but I also feel like this movie was far more scathing back in the day than it is today.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Definitely, dude.
Yeah. But one thing that's, I mean, like a lot of this movie is prophetic as hell. But one thing is that, you know, we all know certain news channels and certain media figures have claimed to be entertainment instead of journalists. Well, this movie was ahead of the curve because there's that whole ordeal where Howard Beale, it's Howard Beale, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
You know, he wasn't doing good on the news, so they turned his show over to the entertainment division. Like, it's really prophetic to see that the news is essentially entertainment for us because we're just watching it on a screen. It doesn't really impact us in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's funny. I mean, that's literally what Fox's news says, doesn't it? Like it's Fox Entertainment News or some shit like that. Like,
Yeah, most talking head shows are like considered entertainment.
yeah. No, it's crazy too, because like seeing all the footage from the hurricane that just happened, and a bunch of those places are places that I was actually at when we went down there in March, and now they're literally just wiped away. And I don't know, it hits different when it's something, because like kind of like you said, you know, like, oh, like this is just something on the news, it's like far away from me, it doesn't really affect me. But then this is a place where I went and would want to go back to, and now it's just gone. It's just completely destroyed.
Yeah.
And that hits a little harder because, like, fuck, man, I had some good memories when we were down at Fort Myers Beach, and it's fucking destroyed now. It's like totally wiped away. So
yeah, you know, it's funny. I've actually been there too. I think we talked about that.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking. It was nice as hell down there, man. That was definitely the most fun night when Beth and I had a little date night down on Fort Myers Beach and just hang out on the pier down there and seeing like a live performer just in the square, just doing his thing, and it was fucking fun as hell. And then fuck, it's all fucking gone now, totally destroyed.
Oh man, yeah, it's tragic. That's what, and you gotta, when you watch the news, however you consume the news or media, you gotta think about that. And this movie raises a lot of questions, but I'm curious what you guys think of if this movie has any answers or if it's just cynical bullshit.
Yeah, I feel like it is a lot of cynical bullshit. I don't know if it has a lot of answers besides maybe we should let people go crazy on TV a little bit more, because it helps people, you know, be introspective more. I think, at least that's the way that I feel when I see shit like that. Like when I watched the movie, I was like, oh man, yeah, the world's a fucking crazy shitty place. What do you think, Mac?
Refresh me. Sorry.
Well, like this movie, it basically says that the mass media is all bullshit. Corporations control the government, and that the network will do whatever it takes for ratings, including killing people on screen. But, you know, what does it have to say about, you know, what should be done or what ought to be done with media and politics? Like, I might be setting you up to answer a question that doesn't have an answer, because I don't think the movie actually does offer too much in way of solutions. And that's kind of what I don't like about it.
I guess you could. I would say that the movie allows people to be open to recognize when, or maybe not even recognize, but stay cautious.
Yeah.
Stay cautious around what news sources you follow, and try to determine whether what they're telling you is actually there just to directly give you the news and the facts, or if they're doing it with more incentive to just boost their own platform.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
So no, it maybe doesn't give any answers, but definitely allows people the ability to notice and keep an open mind to truth. You know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I also have here this movie, as we all know, it's prophetic as hell, but it's also funny as hell. It's got an ensemble cast as hell, and it's influential as hell. It's just an all-around good movie from the 70s. But I feel like maybe this movie is either too influential, or times have changed so much and we're all disillusioned or used to seeing things sort of like this.
Absolutely.
Like, I feel like maybe young people just would see this and get bored. They wouldn't, and they'd be like, "We've heard this before. We all know the news is all bullshit and corporations control the government."
Yep.
Have you guys heard of the thing called Seinfeld is unfunny?
What was it?
Seinfeld is unfunny.
No.
No,
It's this idea that, like, Seinfeld is a super influential sitcom, but it's too influential for its own good, because it influenced so many other shows that, you know, just a few decades later, all of the jokes have been reused. Everyone's heard the jokes, you know, people repeat the jokes, and then just in a few generations, people don't appreciate it.
That's
I feel
crazy,
like
but I love
this
it.
movie suffers from a sort of similar thing.
Yeah, I could see that for sure, dude. Because yeah, I mean Seinfeld. If you've never seen it, but you've seen all the media nowadays, then you'd watch Seinfeld and be like, okay, like this is why. What the fuck's up with the laugh track too? This sucks.
Yeah, laugh tracks do suck in general, but
They do.
Agreed. I 100% agree with that.
but like,
but
in
this
terms
movie,
of
yeah,
network, we've got the West Wing and the Newsroom. I've never seen either of those, and I hear mixed things about them. But you know, I feel like this movie might be too influential for its own good.
possible. Yeah, a lot of pop culture is pulled from this movie for sure, and the West Wing is pretty good. At least the first few seasons. I think the first season actually kind of sucked. I can't remember if it was that.
Yeah, I've heard kind of worse things about the West Wing than the Newsroom.
Newsroom is really good from the little bit that I've seen. That's got what the hell's his name?
Jeff Daniels.
Yes, and like a few of the scenes I've seen from that, I was like, holy shit, this looks good. I need to watch that at some point.
Yeah, it's got to just be a love letter to network, honestly. Have you seen it, Nick?
It has to be.
I haven't. I've again. I think I've only really seen one popular clip about Jeff Daniels' character kind of tearing into that female student who says, "Why is America the greatest country in the world?" And he goes, "This is not the greatest country in the world. Here's why. Here's why. Here's why. Shut the fuck up."
I think I've seen the same clip, and that is just
monologue.
that's just proof, because we've all seen, or you guys had seen the Mad as Hell speech before seeing Network.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's monologue is very much in the same vein and almost like the same energy and shit. Although I'd argue that Beale was definitely a bit more psychotic or whatever at the time, like when he was doing that monologue, like that.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
But it definitely has a similar feel for sure.
I'm not a huge fan of the Mad as Hell speech, to be honest. I feel like it's kind of performative. Like, And it's, he was going through a breakdown at the time, but what does opening a window and yelling out of it do? Like,
That's having a breakdown for you, man.
It fucking brings the ratings. That's what it does. It brings the fucking ratings.
yeah.
Cut up those numbers. Those are rookie numbers. No, I mean, fuck. He repeats himself like 20 fucking times in that monologue. So, I mean, yelling out a window. Yeah, I mean, his brain's mush at that point. But also, it could just be, like kind of nonsensical writing, sensationalist, performative for sure. I could definitely agree with that.
I just had a whirlpool of feelings when that speech was coming on, because he had been, at first he's like, I'm going to kill myself, says it on camera. And then they bring him on again and say, this is bullshit. It's all bullshit. And Max is like, yeah, well, it kind of is bullshit.
It is bullshit.
but like, just the oncoming wave, I was just preparing myself for the third time he gets on camera and does that speech. I was blown. Even though I'd heard the speech a number of times before that, I wasn't ready for how it was. I wasn't ready for how much it impacted me. Just the sheer energy.
Yeah.
It
was the build up there is like fucking. That's really good screenwriting. That whole build up from the very beginning of the movie till that point, it really makes it hit really well. But
Peter Finch is an Australian actor, and I could tell I could hear his accent kind of coming out in a lot. I've heard it coming out a lot in that speech, but I did read up in the wiki that he actually managed to get the role after he sent a clip of himself to the director, talking in an American accent and reading like direct news clippings or something like that.
Interesting. I thought you were going to say he sent a clip of his own psychotic breakdown that he filmed.
Oh, this guy's perfect. Yeah, I definitely noticed his accent coming out a few times. But it all works pretty well. I mean, when it comes down to it, especially for that scene and a couple of the other ones where, like, kind of like Joe was saying, where it feels performative. I mean, that dude is chewing up the fucking scenery in a bunch of the scenes in this movie, and that's kind of like the role that he's given and has to perform. So I feel like it's okay, but I definitely know where you're coming from. Like it's over the top. It's fucking
yeah. He did win Best Actor. Peter Finch won. What is going on now?
Jeff just got in here.
Oh,
I did. What up?
Oh,
yeah.
Hi.
What's up, dude?
What up? How'd the call go?
We're still talking right now, man.
We recorded.
You're live, baby.
Probably sound like ass because I'm calling off my phone at work.
No, it sounds okay, actually.
What'd you guys think of the movie? Did you guys already do ratings?
No. I haven't even read off the notes that Molander sent over yet. So you're welcome to pepper in your side.
Yeah, I'll do that real quick. I fucking really like this movie a lot, man. Like a lot. I thought there was some really neat. For starters, I want to say that despite what Molander might think, I did not think that this movie was very predictable, which I found refreshing. Like, I thought going in that I had an idea of how this movie was going to go, and I thought that I had this idea that, like, he would, like, go on this rant, and then everybody would love him, and then he'd, like, get full of himself, like, atypical fucking story, and instead he's just this fucking madman that they're, like, propping up like a puppet and, like, dancing around and shit, and, like, I don't know, and, like, there was a lot of things that tied together, too. Like, at first, I didn't understand why we were focusing on the romance between Max and
Diana.
Oh God, Diana, thank you. But, like, that still tied into the whole theme of, like, new news media versus old news media. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think they touched on that a lot. Like, there was a lot of romanticizing, like, old media. Like, they keep mentioning, what's his name? Darrow. They mentioned him a lot. And, like, old newscasters and shit, and like talk about how like the news was news, and like you see them like having like all these punchy lights and music and shit, and like I don't know, I really liked it. I like the contrast a lot. I think it was a little too romantic in regards to old media. I think it kind of came off a little boomer to me, but that's just probably because I live in 2022 and have a different viewpoint than when this movie was released. But overall, I really liked it. I thought it was really good. I thought the acting was phenomenal. Dude, Faye Dunaway, holy shit. That woman chewed every scene she was in. I thought she was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, she crushes ass in this movie. It's amazing.
Yeah, dude, the whole thing is great. I really liked the whole movie. There's like a couple lines that were really weird. Like, God, what was that one you and me were cracking up about, Knack, where she's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I need to be here. It's like, what in the fuck?
Like some fucking do it, kill him.
Yeah, he gave off heavy fucking, what's his name from Law and Order vibes. Fucking Max.
Oh, not Stabler.
No, we're talking like original Law and Order.
Fuck, I don't know.
I want to say Martin Landau. No.
Yes. Yeah, that's
Law
it.
and Order.
What's the main character's name? Why I say main character, but I
no,
feel like this movie doesn't really
Martin
have a
Landau's
main character.
Yeah, like
Howard Beale? Or we're
Howard
talking
Beale,
about-
yes.
yeah,
He's
Howard
a-
Beale. Yeah, definitely takes a lead character role.
I really
He's a
I loved his character.
He's a crusty but benign television presenter.
Yeah. I love that. Just a crusty brother. I love. Yeah, it's funny that we all kind of were like, is he the main character? Because he is, but also like the movie is almost more about him than like.
We get more
him.
screen time of Faye Dunaway than we do of him.
Yeah. A lot of the screen time we get with him is where it's like in the editor's room or whatever. Not the editor, where they're like looking at the bank of cameras, bank of TVs, and he's on camera. He's not the main character in those scenes, you know? Like he's just somebody in that scene.
That's got to be an intentional thing because like he stops being a person to the news people and just starts being like something for them to dance in front of the camera, and I feel like the movie treats him the same way. So like at the beginning we get like a lot of time with him and like we see him bonding with Max and everything else, and then all of a sudden we only see him when he's like prancing around on screen. I think that's probably intentional.
Yeah, almost certainly.
When we were talking about acting, I will pepper in that Beatrice Straight, who played Max's 25-year wife, won an Oscar for her 5 minutes of screen time in this movie.
I mean, she was great.
For the one speech when for the one scene when Max is admitting his affair and she nails it. She absolutely breaks that fucking role like nothing. Just
hey, that scene. There's this thing in the movie where like all the older fellows in the movie are just like too cool for school. Like Max is in the middle of like this fucking family shattering I'm having an affair situation. He's just like, yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll love her. I was thinking about it. Might have a cigarette later. I don't know.
That's some 70s man for sure.
It's the same way with fucking Howard or whatever. Like every scene you see him in, he's just grinning like a dope and just like whatever. I really like that.
And men didn't have like real actual feelings back then, so
I don't know. I was really impressed by the movie. I figured I would like it, but like I didn't expect to like it as much as I do. Like I'm probably gonna watch it again in the next week or two.
it's good. It's like almost not action packed is the right word, but it like a lot of fucking crazy shit keeps happening, and like they keep the pace
It's engaging.
Yeah, it's engaging. That's the right word for sure. Yep.
This movie could have easily been like very meandering and very like unfocused, I feel, with just the amount of like bouncing around we do, and like it's 2 hours long. But I feel like the movie does a really good job of like keeping you engaged and keeping everything moving forward. There's a lot of jumps, which is kind of like it feels like it's only been like a week. And then they're like, oh yeah, she had that kid 6 months ago. It's like, what? It's been 9 months? Like, what the fuck? But yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. I'm going to go ahead and drop my rating right now because I'm probably not going to be on until the end of the call. I'm going to give it a solid like 9 out of 10, I think.
Whoa.
Radio.
Yeah, it was just
first mid-episode rating. How you like that, viewers,
listeners, creeps.
Yeah, creeps.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I think there's like a couple scenes that feel a little stilted. Like a lot of the scenes between Max and was it Diana?
Yeah.
A lot of the scenes between them, there's like no chemistry there, but like they keep talking about how there's chemistry there, and it's like I don't really feel chemistry here at all.
So I'll mention what I kind of picked it up off of something else I watched going over how they wrote the movie is that Max kind of represents the public and how the public should actually react to the media, because he's physically and emotionally attracted to Diana, but he is disgusted with her morally.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
okay.
That's why the chemistry isn't there, because he's torn right down the middle. And
that makes so much,
yeah.
That makes so much sense, because he's sitting across from her. He's like, you are media. He's like, you are 100%
television
media
incarnate.
Yep. No, that makes total sense. Nail right on the head.
Yeah. No, yeah. Max definitely represents the way people should to have a stance on media and newscasting.
I think it's really telling how easy it was for them to turn Howard around, because he spends like the entire movie like railing up against the system and like quote unquote the man and shit and like corporations, and then he's so easily and quickly twisted at the end of the movie to like
just do their bidding.
Yeah, I can't remember names for shit, but the
ELA.
guy who like
Ned
the boss, Robert Duvall's boss.
Yeah.
Like he has that one conversation with him, and it's cool too, because he like a lot of the same things are said that he said that when he had the conversation with God in his room. He's like, why me? And he's like, because you're on the news, idiot.
Yeah, you're on the news, dummy. You're on TV.
60 million people are going to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I like how slimy the bosses were. Like any of the bosses in the movie were just like, the acting was like, oh.
It's really weird to see a movie like this that's a time capsule of like old news and old media, because like I know I haven't seen news or media like that really. Like there's that law that was passed that allowed they talk about it in that movie Vice. I don't know much about it personally. I haven't done much research, but there's like that law that was passed.
Citizens United, right?
Something like that, where like news is allowed to lean in a direction. Like they're allowed to like espouse their own ideals versus just giving flat facts.
Right. Okay, not Citizens United. That's something else.
Yeah, it's because of that we have shit like Breitbart and Fox News.
Yeah.
Is because fucking Cheney like signed that bill that allowed all these news outlets to lean the way they fucking want. And I think seeing what the news used to be and what the media used to be, like this movie probably had a lot more impact when it dropped, because like people were seeing that change at the time. So like for me to go back and see it, it's like, I don't know, the media's always been a fucking circus. So like, I don't know what you guys are talking about these good old days, because I've never seen good old days. All I've seen is just a fucking circus all the time. So
yeah, we talked about that a bit earlier.
Let's go back to the Walter Cronkite era.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do think there's something very respectable about just delivering the news. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, dude. The media is fucking pure garbage now. It sucks, because I have like a journalism minor, and that's not a ton, but like when we went through that, it was all about the integrity of like the facts and everything. Like if you fucking had one word that like implied something incorrect, the teacher was like, no, you go rewrite that shit right now. Like that's not gonna fly. And then you fucking watch the news now, and it's a bunch of fucking, like Joe said, it's a bunch of fucking talking heads and fucking opinion pieces, and it's fucking garbage, dude. It's just total garbage. And now it's all about fucking fake news and shit, so like nobody can fucking tell what the fuck is actually happening and shit. It's fucked.
Can we talk about how quickly they turned on just killing Howard? I got like straight up whiplash. Like I thought they were joking at first. They're like, "Oh, we're just gonna have to kill him," and I was like, "Ha ha ha!" And then they're like, "No, we're actually gonna kill him." It's like, wait, what the fuck?
So that was the ending they settled on, in as opposed to one potential ending they were going to do was just have all these multi conglomerate fucking corporations just buy each other out, and it's just buy,
just
so
buying each other.
But I think especially because this is considered a satire, I'm with I'm not that you said you were against the scene, but no, it did happen pretty quickly with how.
Well, it's just it felt like the movie didn't, at least to me, and once again, this is probably just a sign of the times and like where I'm viewing this movie from, but the movie didn't feel that satirical to me, at least to that degree, until we got to that point. You know what I mean? Like there was some wild shit happening in the movie, but all of it felt like I was engrossed, and like it all felt like it could be relatively close to real life for the most part. And then there's like, oh yeah, last 15 minutes, murder plot, shoot him in front of a bunch of people. Applause. Like, what the fuck? It's like they just shoehorn that in. But at the same time, like I feel like it fits. You know what I mean? Like they're done with him. Fucking Diana turns on him real quick. Like she's the one who propped him up in the beginning, and then out of nowhere she's just like, yeah, fuck him, we don't need him.
Yeah.
Right.
I wish we could have seen more of Max's character engage with Howard, because like he talks about like how Howard's his best friend, and like you see him storm out of the office and he's like, I'm fucking coming at you guys, and like we're gonna fucking do something about it. And then we don't see Max and Howard in the same room, I don't think, for the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
And I feel like I wouldn't have hated to see more of the two of them, because if we would have seen more of Max's reaction to what they were doing to Howard, and like how Howard was being, because like Howard was clearly like losing his mind, you know what I mean? And like I think it was a really resonant moment when Max is like, what y'all are doing is fucking wrong and we need to stop this, and then it just disappears, like it's just gone. And once again, if we're looking at him as the consumer of media, that makes sense, because consumers just move on real quick. But then he touches on it later too, and he's like, fucking, he's my best friend or whatever. And it's like, I don't know, is he though? Because it doesn't seem like you really give a shit.
These two friends got totally pissed.
I did love the narration in this movie.
Gold.
Will hit on that too.
Yeah, I talked earlier about how it like lends a lot of like legitimacy to the movie. It makes it feel more realistic.
Well, it's very newsy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like it fits the theme of the movie. It feels like somebody's reporting on what happened with this guy.
On October 5th.
The first man to get killed for getting low ratings.
So good.
Yeah, dude, this is... Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's fucking iconic, dude. Like, this movie fucking, like, informed media since until now. Like, it's just had such an effect on everything that we watch. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad we got to this movie. This is one that's kind of like low-key been on my radar as well, so I'm really glad that we did it for this whole Shelf of Shame thing.
Had you seen the monologue from this movie before watching the movie? Because all of us had.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
I have an EDM song in my fucking Spotify playlist that samples it.
Nice. Packer said that he had a few songs with samples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking Mitch Murder, Perturbator, Ministry uses it.
I think the Perturbator one is the one I have in my playlist, actually.
Yeah.
I like the one with Perturbator. I like Mitch Murder's Eye of the Storm much more.
It's just
it's clear.
Too.
Anyway.
Yeah, this is a fucking phenomenal rack, dude.
What does Molander think?
Yeah, I was just about to jump into his, so I'll just read it verbatim. So, Network, I think it's. I'll say it in his sense.
Yeah, use his voice.
I think it's an interesting and depressing look at the corporatization of America and sensational journalism. People like to think these are new problems in the 21st century, but they're really not. I could rant about this for days. I see where he's coming from, but this is the 70s.
Yeah.
This took place in. Anyway, what's depressing about the movie specifically is that things have gotten significantly worse, even though it's clear that at least some people were acutely aware of the problem back in the 70s when they decided to make this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
On its own merit, just as a story, Network is an interesting one. I particularly liked the relationship between between Max and Diana's characters.
Funny.
The scene, the scene in which Diana talks herself up to her own climax with no response from him is great.
Yes. I very much like. I was laughing about it this morning, but like it was so true to her character, it made absolute fucking sense.
Yeah. He also says he laughed his ass off. He says, I laughed my ass off at his facial expression when she finally asked for his opinion at the end. Yeah. You're like,
holy. Yeah, she just like climbs up there. She's up there for literally a second and a half. Like, boy, there's not enough time for insertion. She's like, oh, and then just fucking flops over. It's like, homie, what even is this?
Oh yeah, he says I also enjoyed catching an uncredited Lance Henriksen. That guy was young. That guy was a baby Lance in that fucking movie.
Wait, who was he? I must have fucking missed.
He's
that.
like one of the guys in the room when they're like talking to like those rebels or whatever.
Oh,
yeah, he's one of the gray suits talking to the ELA.
I was like, this dude seems familiar, but I just didn't put it together.
Well, because he looks like a fucking baby. He looks like he's 10 years old. He doesn't even sound the
same. We watched the second Jurassic Park the other day, and Vince Vaughn in that movie looks like a child. Like he's literally like 20 years old. It's crazy.
Wild.
I think it's the second one, the one with him and yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the second one, but.
Yep.
I was like, holy shit, is that Vince Vaughn? It doesn't even look like him because his face has got like 3 times the size in his old age.
And then Molander gives his rating and says he enjoyed the movie, but doubt he'll come back to it or recommend it.
That's not a number.
Yeah, that's not a fucking rating.
No. I was going to give the rating until we start giving ratings. Okay. So I was going to, yeah.
Well, it's more fun to lambaste somebody who's not here, so...
Asshole didn't even give us a number.
No, he did give a number. I just won't drop it yet. So yeah, I mean, I was just to put in my part. I absolutely loved the movie. I was way beyond what I was expecting, and I knew from what people who have seen the movies had to say about it. It definitely lived up to everything. I love all the characters. I love how well they were portrayed. I love the direction that was taken to make sure that characters were sort of stayed true to how the creators wanted them portrayed. Like who mentioned I think that's what's his name? Excuse me. Lumet says that he would purposefully edit any attempt Faye Dunaway gave on giving Diana sympathy. Like any sympathetic portrayal she might have put on camera, he would just take it out. The lighting, they mentioned that the lighting in the movie starts out real dark and then kind of progressively gets brighter.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Even the camera itself became a victim of television because of how they wanted the lighting to look through as the movie progressed. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
God, there wasn't a whole lot of music in this movie, and usually I'm all about how, like I said, how music just emphasizes the tone of a scene, but.
It turned it around on you because it influenced his music in such a way.
Yeah.
And I think the lack thereof is necessary in this movie. If this movie had been punched up with a bunch of music, I feel like it definitely wouldn't have hit the same.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That way we can be. There's a lot of important dialogue. I mean, just a lot of big vocabulary that you need to pay attention to in order to stay with it.
fuck, I couldn't even catch half of what Faye Dunaway was saying, like when she was on screen. She comes in, she's so fucking manic, she's running all over everything, she's spouting 1,000 words a minute. It's like, holy fuck, slow down.
Yeah. Yeah, every actor put their all into these roles. Like Ned Beatty had one night to rehearse a 4-page speech. One night. And he got nominated for an Oscar for it.
Jesus.
Like the 4-minute scene that he has in the fucking movie. Like, it's fucking phenomenal. Absolutely well put together. Like, I couldn't be happier with having seen this movie.
Yeah, it was a good rec, dude.
And it's kind of in well, it's not a. I'm really getting bigger appreciation for movies that aren't fantasy after going through a movie like this and having watched another movie called The Lives of Others that are just much more grounded and based in reality and actual events. That I'm like I said, giving just a much bigger love for reality-based movies.
I think a good exercise would be to put this movie toe to toe with like what's satire now. You know what I mean? Like if you put this movie up against like something Adam McKay has done recently, like Vice or Don't Look Up.
Joe was mentioning the Don't Look Up comparison.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies nowadays that try to do what this movie did, and I feel like this movie just did it a lot better. And I think part of that is because this movie, at least to me, felt grounded. You know what I mean? Like I watched something like Don't Look Up and I'm like, this seems like a comedy and a farce versus like Network. Like the whole movie, I was like, is anybody going to give a fuck about Howard and this dude clearly having a mental breakdown? Like, does nobody give a shit? This dude is losing his fucking mind. Like,
yeah. I straight up didn't even realize it was a satire. I said earlier, Jeff, before you got here, but like it was like halfway through, and I was like, "Is this a fucking satire movie? Like, what the fuck?" And
it's good though.
Apparently, it wasn't meant to be, right, Knack? You were saying something like that,
right? Yeah, it was. It was originally supposed to be a much more directly allegorical than satire, but. That's in the wiki somewhere. I just can't remember.
Yeah, they made the right call in switching it up to the way it is now. I think it's pretty prime.
Chayefsky says that the film has no ultimate statement beyond the idea that a network would kill for ratings, even doesn't mesh with the love story and whatever the love story says thematically.
I love it.
No, now that you mentioned. Like Max being a representation of the American people, like the shit between him and Diana is like effectively wearing that metaphor on its sleeve. Like I'm just like revisiting all the scenes between them, and it's like, holy fuck, that's exact. Like they might as well have been like, Diana, you are the metaphorical representation of media in this movie, and I am the metaphorical representation of the human people, and we are together because people love media. Like.
Fucking raised by Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, loved the movie. Would love to see more like it. But easy recommendation.
Yeah, for fucking sure.
So
I might be around for ratings in next rec. Holy shit.
Yeah. Do we want to get into ratings?
Yeah, we'll roll with it. Molander's rating was 6 out of 10.
Ugh. It's a good thing he's not here. We'd be here for another 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'm in line with Jeff saying this is an easy 9 out of 10. Like it'd probably end up becoming a 10 out of 10 if I watch it 3 more times.
Yeah. I feel like this is definitely a movie I can get more out of from repeated watches.
I can see that.
I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I mean, Jeff, you can listen to the episode to hear my criticisms. I've pretty mixed, maybe 7.5, but if we have to do whole numbers, 8.
Whatever you're feeling, man.
Because it's a classic. It's influential. The acting's top notch. The satire, I mean, the humor is very few and far between, but I do like it. And I feel like the moral is a bit generic, media is bullshit. Corporations control the government. I just wish there was more substance
once again, I feel like that's just a sign of the time. Like, had I watched this movie when it came out, I feel like it would have resonated a lot harder than it resonates now. Because it's like, fuck, I'm already living in the blowback of what this movie's trying to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this movie's trying to like predict the future and be like, yo, media's gonna be shit, and I'm like living in that shit, and I'm like, well, duh.
Yeah, no shit.
So, Joe, you'd say your main 2 points of deduction are for the generic morality of it.
Yeah, I don't have 1 point for one criticism, if that's what you're asking.
You're right. Yeah, I'm just curious what your main deductions were for.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
What you, Billiam?
I think I'd go with probably an 8.5. I did like this movie a lot. I thought it was really excellent. Obviously, great acting, great screenplay. Humor was good when it was there. The monologues are, I mean, they're like legendary. They're epic. They're well known because they're so good. But there definitely was a few parts where I was like a little bored. Like the pacing could have been better. But I think that's more a product of the times. Like these older movies, their pacing was for the generation back then. I mean, that's just they didn't. It's not like nowadays where every fucking 5 seconds some shit has to be happening because that's like how we are conditioned now from our fucking phones and everything. So, but no, I thought it was fucking excellent. I wouldn't change a lot. And back then, I'm sure like if I watched this movie back then and done a radio show about it because podcasts didn't exist, I probably would have given it like a 9.5 or a 10. It's fucking good.
Awesome. Is that all 5?
I think that's all of us. Yeah.
It's 5 guys ratings.
So yeah, I'm glad.
Tease.
I'm glad for the this was pretty well received among us.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
So
good rec, Mac.
Thank you. What's your upcoming selection?
Well, I only found out about it about an hour ago. So
that's not true. I told you several days ago.
Yeah, even our last episode, I'm pretty sure we brought it up. Anyway,
no, I said it in the Discord chat.
I was gonna say I wasn't here for the last episode, but
oh right.
No, it's all on me. My memory is just pure garbage at this point.
And just for our listeners, this we've just ended our themed run of the Shelf of Shame, and so our next 5 selections will be personal recommendations of anything the recommender wants.
No, I'm just straight up my brain just doesn't work anymore. So, and I have not been sleeping enough. So
yeah,
who's gonna recommend a fucking porn parody?
Like
you guys have seen Network. Have you seen Network?
We're watching the Avengers Infinity Horror.
Yeah, Infinity.
Net Squirt?
And I don't know.
Drop something. You got it.
Yeah. So
you haven't hit a Ghibli yet. Drop a Ghibli.
That's literally what I was talking about earlier. That's awesome. I was like, have we done an animated movie? I was like, maybe I'll do a Ghibli movie.
You should pick the one that I want you to pick.
Huh? You
should pick the one that I want you to pick.
Ooh, let me see if I can mind meld with you and figure that out.
Yeah.
We'll see. We're just going back to the beginning, boys. We're gonna do some Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Technically not a Ghibli movie. This was before Ghibli Studios was founded, but it is fucking phenomenal. And I mean, it pretty much just set up the paved the way for him to make fucking 20-something amazing movies. So
that kind of makes you want to pivot my rec. I was gonna do that live action Turtles, but if you're gonna do Ghibli, I might use mine for a fucking Satoshi Kon movie because I've been wanting to do that.
Ooh.
Well,
we can have 2 fucking anime recs.
Should this just be anime?
Did this turn into a theme?
Yes, this is the theme anime month. What one did you want us to do, Joe?
Graveyard of the Firefly.
Oh.
That's okay, because I don't think I've seen the one you picked.
Oh, it's great.
We're all good. Yeah.
It's not
I don't
nearly
know
as
if I can
Graveyard.
listen. I've seen Grave of the Fireflies. I don't know if I am emotionally ready to watch that movie again. So I'm glad we did not do that one.
Yeah.
Well, get ready. It's anime week.
It's coming, bitch.